Today on NewsWatch, racing into the home stretch. Polls show Donald Trump gaining ground as both candidates barnstorm the country in search of votes. Plus, battleground or bust. CBN's David Brody and Jenna Browder bring us the mood from key swing states that could decide the election. And World War II hero, the big screen story of the real-life soldier who rescued more than 70 men from the battlefield without ever touching a weapon. Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. With the election now just 4 days away, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are crisscrossing the battleground states. Both hit North Carolina Thursday with some added star power, and they'll have dueling rallies in Pennsylvania today. Ephraim Graham has the story.
Both presidential candidates are hitting the same battleground states, but with very different messages. In North Carolina Thursday, Republican Donald Trump pushed to rally his base.
You know, when I look at these great admirals and these great generals and these great Medal of Honor recipients behind me, to think of her being their boss? I don't think so.
Polls show Trump gaining ground in the state just days before the election, but the state also has a growing African-American population and a growing number of young college-educated voters. And Hillary Clinton aimed to urge both to get out and vote with some added star power. Rapper Jay-Z today and Bernie Sanders and singer Pharrell Williams Thursday.
This election is just too important. I couldn't sit on the sidelines and just be quiet.
But Clinton is still dogged by questions about the FBI investigations into the Clinton Foundation and her emails, with more revelations coming out in recent days and possibly more ahead. Clinton is not talking about those problems as she campaigns.
We are standing against the possibility of returning and normalizing discrimination. Take it seriously, my friends, because it truly is at stake in this election.
And a new face on the campaign trail as Melania Trump made her first solo appearance for her husband, taking on the issue of cyberbullying.
It is never okay when a 12-year-old girl or boy is mocked, bullied, or attacked. It is terrible when that happens on the playground, and it is absolutely unacceptable when it's done by someone with no name hiding on the internet. We have to find a better way to talk to each other.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
The Rust Belt of America takes on new significance in this presidential election year. Ohio and Pennsylvania are crucial states that have seen their share of visits by Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Jenna Browder and David Brody have our team coverage from the Rust Belt.
We're Ohio Christian University students.
Near Columbus, Ohio, millennial evangelicals are on a push to educate voters and get them to the polls on Tuesday.
I do want to see other Christians get a vote just because it's like gives them power.
Each vote will be especially crucial in Ohio, with Trump and Clinton running neck and neck here. That's why the Faith and Freedom Coalition is knocking on tens of thousands of doors in this crucial area of the state. And a personal touch could be the push that some evangelical voters need to get to the ballot box.
More and more people want some sort of personal connection and credible persuasion.
Persuasion is cranking up on the Democrat side, too. Socialist hero and former presidential candidate Bernie Sanders came to Youngstown to rally the troops at the local university. Hillary Clinton knows she needs millennials to show up, but students here don't seem too motivated.
Trump's voters that are my age, they are a lot more enthusiastic than like the people that are going to be voting for Hillary.
There's no doubt that Donald Trump is going to have to win here in Ohio and many of those battleground states, but at some point he's going to have to penetrate the blue wall, Hillary Clinton's blue wall. That means many of those Democrat states, including one nearby, as a matter of fact, right next door in Pennsylvania, and that's where we find my CBN News colleague, Jenna Browder. Jenna.
Thanks, David. We are here in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. This is a town that was once booming, but as industry moved out,
so did the jobs. Both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are working overtime here, trying to win over blue-collar, working-class Americans.
This is probably the toughest election that, I've been voting since I was 18.
I'm not really with it. I don't know.
I'm registered as a Republican, but right now I'm still pretty undecided.
Here at the Heyday Diner, mixed feelings for the candidates.
Trump knows everything was going on. He's speaking the truth to us, but Hillary knows the house.
Ebony Carter seems to make up her mind on the spot.
I'm just going to go with Trump because I like the truth, and instead of this being anything withheld from me.
Yeah, most of it's pro-Trump, to be honest, and this is it's always been a heavily Democratic area.
Across town at the Press Bistro,
I'm not quite sure if I'm going to vote.
Rowena Claycomb says she's leaning more toward Clinton, but by no means a hardcore supporter. Donald Bonk is straight down the middle.
I think each of them have proposals that could be helpful to us.
His family owned a grocery store in the area for more than 40 years.
1940 was roughly our high point. We had about 60,000 people in the city. We had a Bethlehem steel mill when I was in high school. In 1979, we had 12,000 steel workers. We probably have about 1,500 now in various specialty mills.
And that's Trump's basic message: bring back jobs.
I want the America that I had when I grew up for my grandchildren.
And it's one truck drivers at this rest stop are buying.
Even though he's very, very wealthy, he seems like he's a blue-collar guy.
Quite frankly, this is going to be the biggest election since Reagan. I think you're going to see an absolute landslide.
With all of the Trump-pinned signs in the area, it looks good visually on the surface for the Republican ticket. But with Clinton's top-notch ground game, looks can be deceiving in blue-collar America, where this race could ultimately be decided. Jenna Browder, CBN News in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
And the drama surrounding Hillary Clinton's email investigation continues just days before the election. The American Center for Law and Justice filed a federal lawsuit against the Justice Department Wednesday for information about Attorney General Loretta Lynch's secret airplane meeting with Bill Clinton. That meeting happened in June, just days before FBI Director James Comey decided not to recommend criminal charges. Now with a new FBI investigation underway, Jay Sekulow from the ACLJ calls it a potential, quote, constitutional crisis.
Loretta Lynch and James Comey should have been out of this case, and the Deputy Director of the FBI, McCabe, should have been out of this. We have that whole backstory. They should have been out of this as soon as those conflicts became apparent. When Bill Clinton got on the plane of Loretta Lynch, that case was so tainted at that point that a special prosecutor should have been appointed, and that would have avoided this and would have made it a real prosecution if there was in fact going to be one, a real evaluation. But now you got the FBI trying to bring a case. You've got the Department of Justice trying to clamp it down. And like I said, we're 9 days out from an election, 8 days out from an election for President of the United States, and you're on the precipice of a constitutional crisis here, and people are losing faith with our government and our agencies.
The ACLJ says the Justice Department has yet to respond to the lawsuit. Thousands of Israeli Americans have already cast their absentee ballots in the U.S. presidential race. As Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, a new exit poll shows who those Israeli voters favor.
Pollster Mitchell Barak announced the results to the press.
Well, we found that the race is pretty much a dead heat. Statistically, it's 49% for Donald Trump and 44% for Hillary Clinton. So Americans here in Israel are pretty evenly split.
Barak said the number one reason why Israelis voted summed up this year's election.
When we asked people what was the main thing that they were looking at when voting, and half of them said the danger of electing the other candidate, combined with the high-end favorability, that kind of sums up the election very simply. This was just, you got to get out and vote, even though we don't like our candidate, because it's not the other person.
There's no official count, but it's estimated there are about 200,000 Israeli Americans eligible to vote. Many of them come from swing states, and if they vote, they could make a difference in the election.
There are certain swing states, whether they're Pennsylvania, whether they're in Ohio, in Florida, where you have not only large Jewish populations, but large populations of Israelis, American Israelis that are living here. So some of those are absentee ballots. We've seen in elections where it can get down to the wire and the absentee ballots are actually counted after the election, and those votes here could make the difference between the winner and loser in a state and the winner and loser in an election.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
The U.S. government believes hackers from Russia may try and undermine the presidential election in the U.S. next week. NBC News reports the White House and the Department of Homeland Security are taking steps to prepare for a possible attack. The U.S. ambassador to Russia says, quote, the Russians are in an offensive mode and the U.S. is working on strategies to respond to that at the highest levels. Officials say they have no specific warning of an attack on Election Day, but they believe a massive attack from October 21st could have been practiced for this coming Tuesday. Iraqi troops are battling ISIS to liberate the easternmost neighborhoods of Mosul after pushing past the city limits for the first time in 2 years. The commander of Iraqi counterterrorism special forces tells CNN that Iraqi troops have begun invading 4 different neighborhoods. The Associated Press reports it's been the most fierce urban fighting in Mosul since Iraqi troops launched an offensive more than 2 weeks ago. A U.S.-led coalition is supporting Iraqi forces and their Kurdish allies, primarily through airstrikes and reconnaissance. Coming up, the United Nations trying to rewrite the history of the Holy Land. See what Christians have started shipping to the UN by the hundreds. If you want to live a longer life, you might want to make it to church this Sunday. Researchers at Harvard University found that people who go to church just once a week reduce their risk of dying by between 20 and 30%. That's compared to those who don't go to church at all. Researchers also found those who go to church are more optimistic and have lower rates of depression. Christians around the world are standing together against what they call a United Nations attempt to rewrite history in the Holy Land. CBN's Julie Stahl shows us what led to this unified effort.
It all started when UNESCO passed a resolution ignoring Jewish and Christian ties to Jerusalem's Temple Mount. One major result, Christians joining with Jews to condemn the move.
This is a horrendous scandal which should have never taken place because the United Nations is a global body to represent the entire world, and they very in a blatant way sided with an Islamized agenda to basically Islamize the Holy Land.
To make matters worse, the UN body made its decision during the Feast of Tabernacles as thousands of Christians celebrated the biblical feast in Jerusalem.
They were scandalized. They said, these are our places. These are places where we worship. These are places which I find in my Bible. How it comes that the United Nations tells me now this is an Islamic site, places which Mohammed or none of the Muslim sages ever visited.
Dr. Jürgen Bühler of the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem decided it was time for Christians worldwide to take a stand.
We told them, please give a history lesson to UNESCO. Take a Bible, go to the bookshop and purchase a Bible, highlight some of the places where it speaks about Jerusalem, Hebron, Bethlehem, the Temple Mount, whatever it is, and send it to the UNESCO and tell them, well, these are places that are holy to us, and we are absolutely scandalized that those places are being Islamized today.
Many experts call the Bible one of, if not the most historically accurate document in history. In the Old Testament alone, Jerusalem and Zion are mentioned more than 800 times. Another 161 mentions are found in the New Testament, not including various other synonyms. Bühler sees the dynamics of the UN as a deck stacked against Israel. That's because there are 120 Muslim states and non-aligned countries in the UN that almost always vote against the Jewish state. But, he adds, that's not the real scandal.
But the real scandal is that even places like Italy, a Catholic nation, they should know better. Say, oh, we abstained from vote. We don't have an opinion if Jerusalem should be called Jerusalem or Al-Quds.
According to Bühler's calculations, Christians from dozens of countries have already responded, sending hundreds of Bibles to the Paris headquarters of UNESCO. A unique opportunity to not only take a stand, but share the Word of God as well. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Up next, get your first look at the epic true story of Hacksaw Ridge and see how Mel Gibson's new movie is starting a conversation about a silent illness, PTSD. Mel Gibson's film Hacksaw Ridge is making headlines in the entertainment world. It's based on the true story of Desmond Doss. He's a man of faith who joined the military during World War II and a man whose faith encouraged his refusal to carry a weapon. Ephraim Graham sat down with Mel Gibson and the cast to bring you this look at Hacksaw Ridge.
So how come you don't fight? You think you're better than us?
No.
But what if he was attacked?
Whoa!
Say it like that. Bible says to turn the other cheek, don't it?
Hacksaw Ridge is the heroic true story of Desmond Doss, a military medic who rescued more than 70 men from battle during World War II. And he did it without a single weapon.
Fiction is nowhere near as good as the truth that way. It's you can't make this stuff up. We all wish and hope that we had that kind of strength and conviction and courage, but it's quite clear that only a man like Desmond Doss does.
It just spoke to my heart. I really dug the story. I was, teardrops on page 94.
Oscar winner Mel Gibson directs the film, his first in 10 years. Would you call this a companion piece to Braveheart in any way?
Yeah, in a sense, I think it's more evolved in a way, because it's really about love, not war.
I thank God for letting me do my part in this war and saving the lives of my fellow men.
Doss, the first conscientious objector to receive the Medal of Honor, is a living story of love for God, his country, and his wife, Dorothy.
I fell in love with you because you weren't like anyone else. You're saying you could go to prison.
But I don't know how I'm going to live with myself if I don't stay true to what I believe.
It's just this unconditional love between them. And I was so drawn to that because the love feels so pure and innocent. And I think it's very different from some of the romances we see these days with our apps and Tinder and Twitter.
I know that you did a lot of research on women during that time period. What did you find out?
I actually did a lot of research, more specifically on Dorothy Schutte. There's hardly any footage of her, but the few things I did see, I saw how she walks with such grace and elegance, and she is a woman of great faith.
Private Doss, you are free to run into the hellfire of battle without a single weapon to protect yourself.
He goes into battle with only his faith in God and his Bible as a weapon. How do you do that?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good question.
So that is the question. And I think it's mysterious. I think it's deeply mysterious. I don't even know if he knew how he did it. The way I see it and the way I think that Mel framed it for us as a story is that you feel there's no choice. He doesn't actually have a choice in the matter. There's a calling. He asks on top of the ridge when everyone else is retreating. He just pauses and takes a second, as you see in the film, and he asks, what do you want of me? He's tuning into that inner voice, tuning into the voice of his God. What is it you want of me? I don't understand. Just discovering that this was a man that lived was a surprise in his entirety.
You're like gum on a shoe, ain't you?
Give me this.
It's a bit late for target practice now, don't you think?
Vince, how would you describe what happens to the relationship between Sergeant Howell and Desmond over the course of their time together?
I think that Sergeant Howell starts from a place of his own faith and conviction. So I think I recognize my character very early, that he is authentic, but it is an absolute collision with my belief system. We are going to war. There is not a good fit for someone who is not prepared to carry a gun or defend his brothers in the foxholes. I think as we go on, what I love about our relationship, which I think is different than any of the others, is there's a sense of humor and a teasing that takes place where you realize that there's no apology needed. We kind of got who each other was, and we're just both looking at each other in these kind of oddity ways and enjoying each other. But there is something, without giving too much away, in that moment when he comes for me, where we both kind of protect the other.
Right.
My philosophies does sort of save him, and his philosophies have saved me, and there is a beauty in that yin and yang that come together.
Hacksaw Ridge is rated R for graphic sequences of war violence, including grisly, bloody images. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're looking for some good entertainment this weekend, we've got your family-friendly movie reviews right here. Our friends at Plugged In Online bring us a review of the new Marvel film called Doctor Strange. Take a look.
Doctor Strange, your work saved the lives of thousands. What if I told you that reality is one of many?
The movie Doctor Strange follows Stephen Strange, a brilliant but egotistical neurosurgeon. He's possessed with a photographic memory and an incredible set of medical skills. But then a serious car accident leaves him with a hand tremor, and the injured doc realizes that his career might well be in danger. After a number of surgeries and treatments fail, he desperately starts seeking out other more eclectic healing possibilities on distant continents. What he ends up finding, though, is the Ancient One.
Oh, you think you see through me, do you? Well, you don't. But I see through you!
A powerful mystic leading a magical order, Strange begins to study the supernatural. He learns how to levitate, and he learns how to bend time and space. But with his new abilities comes the realization that there are more things of concern in the world than his own personal woes. He must stand against an evil sorcerer, or mankind itself might cease to be. This latest Marvel pick is something of a redemption story, where a man chooses defending others over living for himself. But underneath those positives are quite a few new agey trappings. Think chants and spells and astral projection. There's also lots of violence and some mild profanity in this swirling sorcery mix. So I'm giving Doctor Strange 2.5 glowing energy shields out of 5 for family friendliness. For an in-depth review of this film, or really anything else at your local box office, check out PluggedIn.com. Plugging you into the movies, I'm Bob Olszewski for Focus on the Family's Plugged In Movie Review.
Thank you, Bob, and that's it for now on CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at CBNNews.com. Also, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here, and you can do that on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.